second session of our monthly financial education series presented by Arvest Bank. Today's presentation will cover recognizing and avoiding telephone and internet scams. I'm delighted to introduce our presenters today. We've got Brandon Humphreys, who is a regional branch manager with 18 years of banking experience, and Alejandro Calvillo, a small business banker who has been with the bank for 12 years and has worked in many capacities, including branch management. So please let me welcome them.
Hey guys, how's it going? We're here to just talk to you guys today about some kind of just scams and typical things that we see kind of day to day. And just give some more information on how to be smarter about it. And so for this presentation, it's Money Smart for older adults. We're going to start off with avoiding telephone and internet scams. A lot of scam artists on the telephone use lies, deception, and fear tactics. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a phone call like that just immediately start rushing you and telling you, come on, let's go, and start feeding you all the information. But that's kind of typically what we see. And then here's going to be some examples like the grandparent scam. So it's essentially the scammers calling. They may know your grandchild's name. They usually cry to disguise the voice so you don't necessarily recognize that it's not your grandchild. They plead for you to wire money because they're in some sort of emergency, some sort of danger. So again, just trying to play towards feelings and kind of get you guys doing that. And then they ask you not to tell family members because generally if you're telling other people, that's going to raise some more red flags for them and kind of get them caught, more so to say. We got the IRS telephone scam. This one, they say that you owe money for your taxes, and that's obviously terrifying to a lot of folks because you don't want to do that. They may spoof numbers, so you'll get a number that may look like it's the IRS number, but really it's the scammers reaching out. They use common names and fake IRS badge numbers, and then they may know the last four digits of your social security number, so a lot of that information when you think about kind of applications that you fill out, things like that, your social security number, usually the last four are usually visible on a lot of documents with everything else being grayed out.
Can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
And I could hear.
Perfect. The IRS telephone scams, calling from the IRS, send bogus IRS emails, mimic a call site, they threaten jail time or driver's license revocation, hang up and call back pretending to be the local police department for motor vehicles. And so generally they're just, again, just trying to scare you, trying to try different tactics to get information out of you. So they'll really try a whole lot of different things just to get you guys to get information out to them, to gather any sort of information that they can. IRS telephone scam, the IRS always sends a written notification by the U.S. mail. The IRS never asks for payment or credit card information over the phone. And the IRS never requests personal information or financial information via email. So if you guys ever get a phone call, get something like that, they're asking for your personal information. They typically don't do that, so don't give that information out. If you owe the IRS taxes, call the IRS at 1-800-829-1040. If you don't owe taxes, then report the incident to either that website or phone number there, or you can file a complaint using that link down there at the bottom. And then we got the lottery and sweepstakes scams. Scammers may call, email, or text regarding lottery drawings. So a lot of times, they're going to say you got a big winning and start to ask you questions and try to get information that way. They'll request upfront like processing fees. So a lot of times they'll tell you that you need to pay them a certain dollar amount to collect your winnings. And so they're trying to get something out of you up front, and then that way they can go ahead and get what they're wanting out of the situation. They send authentic looking claims checks and pose as attorneys for the winners as well. So those are a few ways that they can kind of try to get people with that scam there. Tips for avoiding telephone scams. Cannot usually win a contest unless you enter. So a lot of times if you haven't entered into a contest or any sort of sweepstakes, then you probably aren't likely to be getting a phone call in regards to that. Never play to play. Be suspicious of pressure to wire funds. So again, a lot of times they're going to pressure you, tell you that your winnings aren't going to be, you're not going to get it if you don't hurry up, send the wire. So they're going to try to pressure you to do it quickly to send the money, and that way, just that fear tactic of going and doing that. Pay attention to the warning signs from your financial institution. So this is one that a lot of people dislike from us when we go and we start asking what you're withdrawing money for, what you're sending a wire for. It's really not that we need to know, but it's more so we just want to make sure it's not something like this. And so a lot of times when you go to a bank, they may ask you that question, and it's really just to protect the customers there. If the caller claims an emergency, check it out at a known number that you know to be valid. So again, a lot of those with the grandchildren saying that there's been an emergency, things like that, you can always hang up the phone, call a family member, call that grandchild, go that route, and just verify the information first. Be wary of requests for secrecy as well. So a lot of times if they send you to the bank, I've ran into it numerous times, and I'm sure Brandon has too, where they tell you not to talk to the banker, they have you on the phone, they have you leave them on speaker while the phone's there, and just that way they can listen in, make sure that, you know, you're not telling us what's going on, that sort of situation.
Right. So now we're going to do a couple of activities in the packets that we handed out and go over a couple of scenarios and see what y'all think. Or the packets, does it show up there? No, it doesn't. So I have to use the packet. It's not in that part. All right, I think it's on page 7. Yes, page 7. So we'll just do this as a group and go through it real quick. First scenario is Jane is at home watching TV when the telephone rings. She answers the call and the man on the line says, "Congratulations, you've won $2.7 million in the lottery." Jane's surprised, although she does buy lottery tickets, she hasn't given her name to anyone. The caller tells her that there's a couple of things she needs to do before she can receive the check. He directs Jane to go to her bank, withdraw $2,700 to cover processing fees. He tells her to forward the funds through a local wire service or to buy and send a special prepaid card that will expedite the process. Jane heads to her bank to withdraw the money. The next day, the person calls to say they've received the funds and an additional $5,000 is needed to pay taxes. So what do you guys think the red flags were in that scenario? Everything. Pretty much, yes, from the start of the phone call. I mean, like Alejandro said, if you haven't entered into a contest, you probably haven't won anything.
Probably don't think about that when you're here.
Right. And what I tell everybody with things like this, stop, breathe, give yourself a few minutes. Nothing, it wasn't an emergency 2 minutes ago, it's not an emergency now. The more time you give yourself to stop and think about it, the more likely you are to not fall for it, and the more likely the scammers are to give up. Because that's their goal. They want to do it fast, quick. You go to the bank, get the money. Anytime they tell you to pay with a gift card, it's a scam. Nobody needs a gift card to pay. But that's what they'll do. They'll tell you to go to Walmart. Target is a popular one. Even Apple gift cards.
Google. Google gift cards.
They just want funds
Google is
somehow.
weird way to me. Why would you need to use a gift card? I have a friend that had that happen several times.
I think they'll take them and they'll sell them on websites where you can trade it in. So they're getting less for it, but they don't care because they didn't pay anything for them to begin with. That's one, the telephone scam where it's winning the lottery, we do see those a lot. They're not as common as some of the other ones we see anymore because they're a little harder to, they're a little easier to spot, I guess, because, you know, if you didn't sign up for a contest, you probably didn't win. But I will say one thing that with this scam and with a lot of the other ones that we've seen a lot more recently is it's kind of two parts. They may steal your identity or something and then get on Facebook, kind of track what you do, what you post, and then use the information they found online to make it sound more legit. Like the example that Alejandro gave of the grandparent scam, we had that once at one of the branches that I'm at, where they had got on this lady's Facebook page, just type her name, got on there, and her profile was public, and it noticed that there was a post from her grandson that was going to Las Vegas. So they called her, pretending to be the grandson, saying that he got in some trouble in Las Vegas, which, I mean, you know, it's Las Vegas. He was there at that point, or right around that point. So she came in the bank extremely worried. Fortunately, one of our associates actually knew the guy and was just like, hold on, stop. Have you called him on his phone? She's like, no. They said not to call anybody, not, you know, just hurry and get it taken care of. He didn't want his parents to know or anybody. So the guy that worked with us just called the guy on his cell phone. And he answered and he's like, "Hey, are you in Las Vegas?" "No, I was last weekend, but I'm home now." And so we saved that lady from doing that. But it goes back to the just stop, give it a second, and think, and always double check with somebody, because and if anybody says on the phone that they don't want you to double check, guaranteed, it's going to be a scam. Scenario 2. A few weeks after Jane used the prepaid card to transfer the money to the scammer, she received a call from a person claiming to be an attorney representing sweepstake winners. The attorney offered to recover the winnings for Jane, but she would have to pay him $7,000 fee up front. What should Jane do? Hang up. That's the easiest answer, is hang up. And they will continue to call you. We've seen where, how many times have we had somebody sitting in front of us that their phone just nonstop ringing?
And these phone numbers, if you want to turn it into the police or something, they're bogus anyway, right?
9 times out of 10,
Spoofing other
they
numbers.
are. Yeah. They've even spoofed other businesses.
Arvest
Our-
has been
yeah.
spoofed before. I had, and this was out of Russellville or something, I had a radio station in Russellville call me thinking that I wanted to do a media buy, and I'm like, this is a number that's not being used. And they're like, they asked to talk to me, a local marketing person,
Right.
and I'm like, the number that you've got it's not a published number, it's not a used number. And he goes, well, they said to call back, and I couldn't get the phone number to come through, so call and ask for marketing and stuff. So it was not, they literally spoofed a number that was in our bank of numbers that we had. So they do it all the time.
Yeah, it's really, really common. Okay. Next scenario, Jack lives alone in his home of 40 years. He's become increasingly hard of hearing, which has made it difficult for him to communicate on telephone. One afternoon, he receives a call from a distressed-sounding person who says, "Hi, Grandpa, this is your favorite grandson." When Jack asks, "Is this Johnny?" the caller says, "Yes, Grandpa, it's Johnny." Johnny says he's in Canada and has been arrested. Johnny explains that he needs Jack to wire $2,500 to bail him out. Johnny also says, "Please don't tell Mom. I don't want her to get upset." Jack hurries to his bank and insists on wiring money despite warnings from the teller and the bank manager that it sounded like a scam. What are the red flags in this story? To me, the first big one is, "Hi, Grandpa, this is your favorite grandson." They're wanting the grandpa to say the grandson's name because they don't know the grandson's name. They're just assuming he has a grandson. So it's you don't want to give any information that is truthful to them. One thing I've done, I like messing with the scammers. One thing I've done is, "Oh, you mean Bill? Who? Yeah, that's who we're talking about. Bill, your grandson Bill." "No, Bill's not your grandson." Give them a fake name. And then if they continue, then that's the easiest way to know that, nope, this was a scam. We see these, like I said, we see these a lot with elderly people because, if your grandson's in trouble, everybody wants to help their grandson. So biggest thing is to watch out for, know where your grandson's at. Call your grandson. Like I said with the other customer that we had, just stop, take a breath. With any scam, that's the number one thing you can do to save yourself. And if you have questions about it, we have people come in 4 or 5 times a day, especially because they'll run in groups. They'll send, a bajillion people the same text, and we'll have people that come in and check. "Hey, is this a scam?" We're happy to look. It's funny because usually if we see one, we'll see 2 or 3 more of that same one the same day. So just watch out. And if you ever have questions, feel free to reach out.
The second part of that too is when they start pressuring you, they're gonna pressure you more and more to create a sense of urgency. That's a big red flag for me. My sister's had several of these, and the last one was like, "Well, they told me I won a car and I've got so-and-so," and I'm like, "Gee, it's a scam." I keep telling you it's a scam. "That's why I'm calling you." I'm like, "You're not winning anything, I'm sorry to tell you." So did you sign up for anything? "Oh, no." Stop that.
I had a lady at work where I used to work, a scammer called her outside the Boundary Waters and had her toes shaking. "I'm taking all your money," or this or that, I just told them to get off the phone, no, you wrong.
That's the number one thing, is just hang up, get off the phone, get away from the situation. And they'll usually give up after a little while because, they do this, that's all they do.
But they are the one the numbers, right?
Yeah, they'll just continue to run through them. Going to the next one. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is phantom debt collection scam. Scammers, basically, they'll try and trick the victim into paying a debt that doesn't exist. They'll contact them via phone. They'll refuse to answer any questions about the debt. They may have some information about the victims. They'll use threats or scare tactics, like they'll pose as law enforcement or government agencies. They'll go as far as to say, oh, we're going to come and arrest you if you don't pay this fine. They'll use things like I said, they'll kind of track people and see some of the different places they go and stuff. And, oh, you went to Oklahoma and you didn't pay your toll. We're going to charge you for that now. You didn't pay it. So if you don't pay it, by doing a gift card and mailing it in or giving us the number off the back of the gift card so we can take care of it super quick, we're going to have you arrested. They're not, and
So you mean they follow people?
not follow online. They'll look and see where people go, because people post everything online. That's what I have zero online presence. No Facebook, none of that, and that's. While it's a great tool to share with your friends, it is one of the biggest things that cause fraud because we see so many people that, well, how'd they get this information? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have an Instagram? Yeah. Is it public? Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that. I mean, you'll see all these little contests. Oh, what's your eye color say about this or that? And all of that is doing is data mining. There are bots out there collecting data on your profile. Anything you've got out there on there, and that's why it's important to make it not public. But then you start getting all of the new Facebook friends, because for a while people were shutting down and starting new Facebook pages all the time, and that's not necessarily the best thing, but they're basically setting up a bogus one. They don't have to hack you to do it. They just take your profile and set it up, and I'm like, okay, that's an older photo, but yeah, no. So they friend you and stuff. I can't tell you how many friends that have kept their parents or a loved one's Facebook page up as a memorial, and then it gets hacked and they can't do anything about it. And then they start selling stuff. Hey, we're selling off grandpa's car and all this, and you'll have, F-150, for $2,000 on there, and it's worth a lot more than that. There's so many scams like that. And I've got a friend that right now that changed her name on her Facebook profile, and I'm like, Darla, is this one of you? She goes, yes, because my account actually did get hacked. So I had to set up another one so it wouldn't confuse. Very scary stuff.
Okay. The other thing that they'll do, they'll refuse to give you a mailing address or phone number. They just want you to give them that gift card, wire them that money right then. They don't want you to know anything about them. They ask for personal financial information and, like I said, ask you to buy a prepaid gift card and send the card. Anytime they ask for any type of gift card, that's going to be a red flag for a scam. Biggest things you can do to safeguard yourself from this is ask the debt collector's name, their phone number, and address. They should supply that if it's legit. If it's not, they're not going to tell you. And if they do happen to tell you, Google it. See if it's legit. If you don't recognize the debt, ask for more information in writing. You have a right to the breakdown of amount owed. Like if you do actually owe something, they have to send you a breakdown of what it is, what was fees, what interest, all that. Don't give any financial sensitive information and keep copies of any papers that they may give you. Okay, now we'll look at the phantom debt collection scenario. It is on page 12. Okay, Pamela is sitting down to eat when she receives the sixth call today from a phone number that she does not recognize. Pamela usually does not answer the phone unless she recognizes the number because she's wary of scams. Pamela does not pick up the phone. The caller leaves a voicemail stating that Pamela owes $349 to Federal Collections Incorporated. The message says that if Pamela does not pay $349 by 11 a.m. tomorrow, a warrant will be issued for her arrest. Pamela would be humiliated if she were arrested in front of her neighbors. She picks up the phone. The caller tells Pamela that she can avoid being arrested by wiring $349 through a money transfer. Okay, what are the red flags that should warn Pamela on this one? What for? That's, number one is they didn't tell her what the debt was for, just that she owed this debt. Another one, it's the company name suggests that she's with the government, but it's not the government. Demanding immediate payment, like we said before, immediate payment, that doesn't happen. And threaten to arrest. Again, that's one everybody's scared of getting arrested. Nobody wants the embarrassment of getting arrested in front of your friends, family, neighbor. They use stuff like that. And they always want the money wired anonymously. They'll take Western Union is a big one. We do see wire fraud at the bank, but on these quick scams like this, they almost always want you to just go to the bank, withdraw the money, and go somewhere else, buy a gift card, then send them that gift card. Every step that they add in puts you one step further away from them, and one more step anybody that was trying to figure out what happened would have to go through. Okay, if you were Pamela, what would you do? Hang up. Yep. Hang up, call a trusted friend or family member and get their opinion on it. There's nothing wrong with that. As soon as you hang up, call somebody else and ask, hey, have you heard of, we'll even do it at the bank when we hear a new one. We'll call other branches or I'll ask other managers, hey, have you guys seen this one yet? Just so we can all become familiar with it. The more we all know, the better we are to stop them from doing it. And if the caller calls back, ask them to send in writing the original amount of the debt and who the debt was from. Because a lot of times they are debt collecting companies that are doing shady things like buying old debt for pennies on the dollar. Let's say, I lived in an apartment in college and my roommate messed it up and I owed $100 to that. Well, that company's going to write that off, but they can also sell the bad debt, and this other company can then call you knowing that that's a debt. But it's so old that they can't collect on it. But you remember it, so it's just another step of, you probably wouldn't remember how much you owe, but I did do this, maybe I need to. Now, you probably don't. Ask them for the original debt. They won't have that. Okay, and that is it.
So challenge everything they're telling you.
Yes, if they have a question, you ask them a question. If you're going to talk to them at all, I suggest just hanging up. Another thing that I suggest doing is if you have, like I have AT&T, they have Active Armor, and it's free with my phone. It blocks almost all spam numbers to where I don't even see them on my call log, so I don't ever even have to worry about them. That's something most cell phone companies offer it anymore. You just want to make sure that it's set up, and you can go in. It's a cool little app. You can go in and see the numbers in case it was somebody, that you needed to talk to. But I can't think of any time in the last 5 or 6 years that I've had a real number end up blocked. But I can tell you. Let's just look. The other day.
I think Verizon does it too, and mine will tell me like the number of calls that have been blocked through there, and so it's kind of interesting to see. I'm like, oh.
Because it's a free service.
Yeah.
Because I have AT&T as well.
Active Armor for if you have AT&T.
AT&T. But if you go to your phone service and stuff, they probably have something else.
Something similar.
Because it's become such an issue. And I will say, one of the scams that we haven't talked about today, and I had this call, one of my specialists that used to work for me about 10 years ago, she had taken her last 2 or 3 jobs, everything had been done online, and she was working with companies out of Little Rock stuff. She, got spoofed, and they ended up making her go get a new phone number, and she had to load all the stuff.
This month.
They ended up taking all the money, their house payment got taken out of their account that next day. And she couldn't do anything about it, and because they had gone along and let it go for so many days, at a certain point, the banks, if you're gonna continue to follow, the bank's gonna have to say, now we can't support that, you've got to stop doing it. So, and the other thing is, when that money's gone, you don't get it back. They may get prosecuted, but you don't get your money back. We've had companies that have lost, and people that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yeah, they know that the money's sitting in Zurich. 5 years later, it's still sitting there, because the countries don't talk to each other. That money of yours is gone for that time. We can't afford to do that. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, so That's why I always tell people, don't do any of those little questionnaires on Facebook. You know, be very leery, and with her, it seems so legitimate because that's how she had done her last job. They reached out to her and said, but at what point, you work for a bank, at what point did you not realize that they were making you go spend money to go do something? And she goes, they were so convincing her, they were so convincing.
And that's anybody can fall for
And I
it.
tell younger people that because, I mean, she was in her thirties and had been around, she wasn't totally green, she had worked at a bank and stuff, and she still got spooked.
I'll say that's probably the
Both.
number one scam for younger people is the job.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, as a younger person, beware.
Yeah, just looking at my Active Armor from this month, I had 60 spam calls this month. But none of them actually got to me, but yeah, 60 different calls.
Most of that is a free service.
With AT&T, I know it is free, and it covers text messages, pretty much everything,
For the
your
most
internet,
part.
yeah.
I still get a bunch of them, and I'll get group text messages sometimes, but you can also go into that.
I haven't
number
gotten
and
one of those in a
block
while.
Yeah.
There's, I know, excuse me, there's certain phones, I know the iPhone has it built into to where you can go in your settings and you can automatically block unknown numbers that are not in your directory. It will just automatically send them to voicemail.
However, if you're at a doctor's office and they call from a different number within that, I know
That's the only thing.
personally, that's the only thing.
That's the only
When
thing.
you're older, because my sister, they were trying to call me, they were trying to call my sister after I had surgery, and she wasn't getting the phone call because it was an unknown number. It came from the doctor's cell phone versus the office. So that's the only thing with that.
What's that, what do you call it, now, Apple phone?
On the iPhone,
Yeah.
you go into settings, but I usually just go to the number and, go to the number itself and like go
Block
into
it.
the info part of that number. And if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, there is a block caller. The problem is they've got a whole list of phone numbers that they're gonna be spoofing.
Yeah.
But you keep doing that enough, they'll give up on you.
Thank you.
I have those on the list. But yeah, we tried the block number with my sister and that didn't work out real well when we started dealing with doctors. Cause you know, you may have a main line and you put that in your phone, but there may be 5 or 6 other lines tied to that, so that's the only drawback with that one.
The only thing, I mean, I know that you got to move on, but apparently newer updates, now I'm looking at the phone settings, there's different ones that you can, if it rings an unknown, the system will ask them to tell you like why they're calling. And then if it does, then it'll go, that's the iPhone.
It's
iPhone,
iPhone.
Yeah, it will then go over, if it's not, then it'll just go straight to voicemail. So there's different options that you can do it.
What is
I'm
that
looking at. It's under, if you go to settings and then go under the phone itself, then it should be toward the bottom. It says, screen unknown callers. Or, and then there's call filters, so there's a little bit different. Go straight to the phone.
Yeah, you gotta go to your, you gotta.
Guess you gotta get up here.
And then phone. Like the phone.
Which does yours have VPN? Because that's something I was going to mention is,
Go down to apps.
And then phone.
Okay.
So I was looking at
So
mine, I couldn't
settings,
find mine.
apps at the very bottom, and then go to your phone.
You gotta check that too, like, this for your phone in general. And that's what, like, you know, on the providers and stuff. If you gotta play with that way you don't miss any calls at work, you get too many calls, too many spam calls.
What other scams have you guys seen?
one more thing I was going to say about the phones is don't use public Wi-Fi. Ever.
Or even the library Wi-Fi?
No. Not even the bank Wi-Fi. I won't use the bank Wi-Fi. Well, because it's on a public Wi-Fi, they're secure, but they're not 100% secure. And that's, I would say, one of the most common ways for information to get stolen that they can use for scams or getting you to do any of these other scams that we've talked about. I'll say probably the most common scam we see right now is the romance scam. It's also one of the hardest ones to convince people that it's not a scam. And that's where, you know, they'll go online and maybe go to a legitimate dating profile or something. And these scammers will have these profiles set up with pictures of somebody else and do a whole background and everything and talk to these people for months. And then eventually get them to, oh, well, actually, I got stopped over in Texas and got pulled over and I don't have the money for a ticket. Can you send me some money? And they'll send some money and then they'll keep doing it. And then the requests get bigger and wilder as they go on. The last one I had was a lady had been dating a guy online. He was from California, but he was currently in England. And he had $7 million back in California, but he couldn't get to it and he needed to get home. But as soon as he got home, he was going to come marry her and they were going to have this $7 million. But first, she needed to send him money to get home. So she sent him $2,500, almost her entire Social Security check. Then the next month, he now knows, when she's got money, okay, it's because they talked enough to know it's Social Security, that it's direct deposited on this day. Next month, about that time, hey, my flight got canceled, but also my daughter got in a car wreck and she's in the hospital. And so I've got to deal with that. Can you send a little more money? And the lady, of course, did. And then at the end, which I still don't think she believed me at the end, but when you stop and sit and put all that stuff together, I told her, I said, you're either dating the most unlucky man in the entire world or this is a scam. Because all that doesn't happen to one person in the span of a month. And this guy also had someone else from California calling her as the lawyer. They do that a lot with lawyers or police officers, some type of authority figure. And the lawyer, confirmed everything, that yes, he did have the $7 million. It was locked up in this trust and he couldn't get to it right now. But as soon as he got back in the country, he had already talked to me about you and you were gonna get married. Of course, none of it was true. And unfortunately, she didn't get any of the money back.
Are they married now?
They are not. But sadly, the last time I saw her, she still thought that it could be real. Still thought that it could be real.
Yeah.
That I was wrong.
Bank in those situations, and it keeps happening, and customers keep falling for it, and they don't listen to.
Eventually, most banks we get to a point where we have to cut them loose. Yeah, and we hate to do that, but if at the end of the day, if you can't come to an agreement that yes, this is fraud, eventually.
My daughter used to work for Argus, this was 20-something years ago, and she had been in college, and there was a little professor that she had adored, and he just lost his wife. He's like in his late 80s by that point, and he was coming in and back then, instead of doing gift cards, they did wires, and he was trying to wire money out, and he kept going back and stuff, and he goes, no, I really want to do this. She goes, okay, I'm going to get fired for this potentially, but I am not going to do this because I care about you. She just like refused to do it. She goes, this is a scam. And he went back and he ended up doing something, somebody else did it for him, and then they came back and wanted more, and he came in and he apologized to her. He goes, you were really trying to protect me. And she goes, yeah, I was like willing to go out on a limb because I just couldn't stand to see you do that. And so not everybody's that way,
Yeah.
but when they're insistent, but she knew him personally, so she was like, no, I'm just not gonna do it.
And like I said, that's the hardest one because they just believe that it's real. They want to believe that it's real. And it's really hard to sit there and tell somebody, I'm sorry, but not only do you not have a boyfriend, but you've lost all your money. It's terrible to have to sit there and tell somebody that. But unfortunately, it happens. And like I said, the best thing, no matter what type the scam is, stop and take a breath. Don't do anything right then. That's the number one thing. Then the next step, go talk to somebody that's a professional that deals with it all day long, every day, which really, especially since COVID, I guess like most scam artists had a lot of time to sit at home and think about how to do stuff because, fraud exploded from COVID, after COVID and on, and it hasn't slowed down. And they come up with new stuff every day. A lot of them are very smart. They just choose to use it in the wrong way.
Yeah, the most recent one that I ran into was a customer that came back in and felt the need that he had to tell somebody about it. I guess they told him to go to the bank, withdraw some money because he had a warrant out for his arrest. So started just scaring him, right? Told him that if he didn't take it to this gas station out towards, I think it was on South School, where they have a Bitcoin machine that he could deposit it into, that they were gonna arrest him and take him to jail. And luckily he stopped and he called his wife and they talked it through, and he ended up coming back in and putting the money back and stopped taking the phone call. But they're just trying anything really to scare you, to get you kind of on the move to the bank and going.
This is don't answer any phone calls.
Yeah.
Or they let-
You just showed us, why are you calling?
Yes.
If it's important, they'll leave you a voicemail.
Yeah.
I never
That's-
answer my phone.
And if they can't get in touch with you via phone and text or something, if that's legitimate, they're gonna send you snail mail. You will get something in the mail.
And most bill collectors, that's the first way that they'll send out is mail. Yeah, like the IRS, if you owe the IRS money, it's going to be in the mail. They're never going to call. Yep. Yep, they're going to make sure you got it, but it's always going to be mail.
And it's not just personal too, like you'll get some at work as well. Like
Yeah.
I've gotten a work email from the bank president saying, hey, can you run real quick, can you run out real quick and give me a couple of gift cards? Of course, the bank president,
Yeah.
marketing, sure, how many do you need and for how much? And then I was literally, I ended up emailing, he's like, sure, how many do you need and how much? Then I remembered I have a cell phone number, so I ended up calling, I was like, hey, how many did you need? Like, I didn't send an email. Got it. Yeah.
Posing as our
No.
executive director, and I work in social services, so we do purchase gift cards, and she's
Yeah.
like, I need gift cards, and I did the same thing, I called her, I was like, what kind, where, she's like, "What?" I was like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, go for it.
Yep.
It happens, we're all victim to it. I know, what we were talking, but Gus just started working with me in the last month and stuff, and he got an email the other day, and I had gotten the same email and I didn't think about it. We basically, our security sends out like phishing emails to see if we're gonna fall for it. Yeah, he fell for it. I'm like, I didn't even read it, so I probably would have as
Dude,
well.
I'm like,
It
yeah,
looks so real.
I'm getting all this new, like, make sure you
So it's
sign
our
up for
office
this.
stuff, then you.
But
Oh,
our
there it is.
security team does
Sends
that
out
so
fake
that
ones,
we
yeah.
are more alert.
And I think
It
it's,
makes us a
is it
waiver for our
2? If you fall for 2 in 6 months, we get extra training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
training if you do.
So gosh, you got one more, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I know we could use AI here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Oh, I didn't either.
Oh,
And-
GPT, that's what
Sure enough, then I'm like, oh, I need to click to sign up. And then it's like, eh.
And I mean, I hate to say this, but the easiest way not to fall for a scam, don't trust anybody. Unless they're standing in front of you, don't trust anybody. I don't. I mean, I've with that same email thing, I've sent in a lot of emails that they're like, no, this is real. Like, you need to do this. But if I haven't heard of it before,
There was one, it was
Spam.
coming from a different system, and it's an Arvest legit email. I'm like, I'm not gonna answer because I don't know what it's from. And they're like, Karen, you really need to do this. You got a certification, you gotta do it. Oh, is it legit?
Yeah, who are you?
Well, I think these were really great examples. I came today because I'm hoping to offer this kind of to our clients. So I work in social services. I work with refugees. The population I work with, very limited digital literacy skills, limited language skills, unaware of our systems, a huge fear in this political climate
Yes.
of being arrested. So they're very susceptible.
and they prey on that.
Very
Constantly.
yes. And I
We-
saw that you guys are putting it on. Usually we take our clients to you guys to open their first bank accounts.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to come today and learn. So do you think there's anything that you can tell me that I could tell them, like, to look out for? I definitely will take these examples, but if you've
So
seen
you're
any.
counseling with them one-on-one? I'm
I
like,
would-
is it something that we can come to a seminar for your?
Oh, I would love that. If
We would love to do it.
It'd be
Very,
better.
very, yeah,
So-
we would love that. The more we get messages out there, the better it is.
Yeah.
And you're right, especially if you're coming from another country, because I've worked with an organization, and we did some financial literacy classes, and they thought Bank of America was the government bank. And we're like, it's different here in the States, because like in some of the places that they were coming from,
That
the
makes sense.
government
That
owned the
makes
banking
sense.
system. And then they see something like Bank of America, and they think that's the bank, not Arvest or Simmons or whatever, yeah. So there is a lot of so we used to do that 20 so years ago and stuff, so we'd love to help you guys any way we can.
Yeah, that would be amazing, especially right now, like,
some of them are doing their taxes for the first time. So if they got something that was like, oh, I'm from the IRS, I need you to send me this money now, we're gonna arrest you, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, yes, I have to send this in. So
That's a whole
we try
other
to tell
scam,
them
IRS.
to absolutely talk to us first
Yes.
before you do anything, but
It's hard. If people get panicked and scared, especially like you said with, if you're from a foreign country right now with everything that's going on, that would be terrifying. And I used to manage our branch that used to be down by the university on Garland, and we would see that a lot because I would come up and do stuff at the university, and the foreign students would come open accounts. And there'd be several times a semester where somebody would come in, hey, I got this phone call, something's wrong with my visa, and they said that I just need to send in. No, yeah, so that's a big one is, especially right now, it always has been, but, issues with your visa or there's a passport issue with your passport, anything like that, they don't do that kind of stuff over the
Well,
phone.
a lot of times this time of year, people will find out that they've already turned in, income tax return. Somebody else filed it for them, and get their money.
And that's why people will hold off filing, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do it as fast as you've got
As
everything,
soon as I can.
Yes.
W-2s are out, I'm done.
as soon as you possibly can do it, because
Can you do something like that as far as on a community building, the church or something, you can tell them something and talk, and
Probably,
have them
yeah.
talk about that?
Would you, are you talking about, yeah, we can go to any church or
Yeah, I'm
anything,
just
do
saying,
whatever
what
you
if,
want.
because they're gonna be scammed for sure. I mean, and I don't know if there's a newsletter that y'all put out that could reach these people.
yes, so we have big language groups, we're very connected with them. So yeah, we do our own cultural orientation, so that's why I came today is to see if I could learn to do our own. But yeah, we would love to have one of you guys come out
sure.
and partner with us and to offer it.
Yeah, in all different languages, so.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
can
and
provide
you guys are
interpretation.
welcome to do it, but these guys can give actual scenarios. They've seen it. They've lived it.
That's, in the classes we've done, that's been the most fun part, is just telling
questions.
examples and the questions that y'all have. The presentation's great, but
With you with the Arvis badge, legitimizes.
Yeah, yeah, and they already make, a lot of them already make with you, so.
You without the badge.
Well,
is-
yeah.
No, it's not legitimate today. You're on a dress code.
I am. And I had my name tag in my hand. I had my name tag in my hand when we were sitting there talking.
And we are,
I can give you one that says Karen.
Perfect.
I was going to say, we are doing more classes amongst like other things, so I don't know if that would be beneficial to them as well, but even just checking in on the Fayetteville Public Library, we're still figuring out which ones we're doing, but there's going to be a whole series of different ones, so.
I'll check, I think
'Cause-
timing is a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Like our clients tend to have, they work like a night shift
Well-
or something, so it's kind of hard for them to come at certain times.
Yeah.
but-
Well, I
Give me my
think
card. And I'm downtown part of the time, and then other part of the time I'm out on mission and crossover.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yeah, we would love to help.
Thank you so much.
and I'm there with him, so if you end up stopping by and he's not there, then you can chat with me as well. Alejandro.
I'm the one that usually coordinates these guys. This is a whole list of seminars and things, so you can look through that, hang on to that, and then this is my card. That's only good for until the 31st of the year. But, yeah, that list might be helpful, and I'm happy to give you guys this list too. If you've got a church or something that you would want something conducted at.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything. There's budgeting, debt management, how to buy your first car, retirement, but just basic banking, that might be a good one for, your clients, because basic banking terminology is very, it's a second language, so it makes it challenging, but then not understanding the structure, so that basic banking can be very, very valuable.
Anything else?
Well, we didn't take up much of your time.
Thank
Y'all
you.
didn't ask a whole
Yeah.
lot of questions. Last month, we were just, we had like.
Yeah, we ran overtime last month.